Hey everyone, I'm Isadora, and today's class is about permission and obligation. We have some modal verbs that are most used about permission and obligation. However, we're going to talk about regular verbs because those modal verbs, they have been a topic for another class we have had. I think they were like one of the first classes we had here. So we're not going to go into modal verbs about permission and obligation. We're going to just go over the regular verbs and see if they are like for permission, for obligation, and when to use those. So we're gonna take a look first at the obligation verbs. So here we have make and have. We also have a third one, which is get. We're gonna see soon. So make, as you may have guessed, it's for obligation. And it's when you force someone to do something. So my teacher made me do extra homework. So she forced me to do extra homework. It was not like an option. I had to do it. Have is like when you give someone the responsibility to do something. So you have to go to the supermarket today. The difference between make and have is like make is more forced. It's like more mandatory. You really have to do this because someone made you do that. But have is more like about responsibility. It's more like moral, you know. So you don't really have to go to the supermarket, but you should because it's kind of a responsibility they gave you to do. So to keep your moral and for everyone to say you're responsible, you are going to do that. So that's the difference between make and have. Makes like really obligation, mandatory. They don't care if you are okay with that. They don't care if I don't know, anything else going on. You have to do that because they made you do that. And have is because you have got the responsibility to do that. So you have this responsibility, and like no one is really forcing you to do that, but it's kind of moral. Like you should do that. And the third verb for obligations is get. So get is when you convince someone to do something. So it's not like you're forcing someone, and it's not about responsibilities. It's about you convincing someone, like convincing their minds. I can get him to go shopping for you. So I can convince him to go shopping for you. If those changes they sound good, it's probably get. Like if you can change get for convince, it's probably okay. If you can change make for force, like the verb force, it's okay. And if you can change have to have got the responsibility, like you are responsible for, then it's probably okay as well. So those are the main regular verbs for obligations and a little bit about when you're going to use them. Now we're going to jump into the permission verbs. There are 4 verbs about permission, so just one more than obligations. First we have let and allow, so both of them are permission. One thing important to take a look at is that let is more informal while allow is more formal. So let, for example, my parents let me stay awake until 11 p.m. on Fridays. Like you're saying it to a friend of yours. You're not saying it to your boss or things like that, you know? So you can use this informal discourse. So it's okay for you to do that. But if you could totally replace let for allow. They are basically used for the same sentences. The only thing that really differentiates them is let is more informal, allow is more formal. So example for allow, working from home allows me to spend more time with my family. So probably you're saying that to your boss because you want to continue working from home, because you want to continue spending more time with your family. So that's why I used allow, because it's more formal. And another thing is that usually when you use allow, you're talking about not only permission, but also about possibilities. So here you're talking it because you want, because of the possibility of spending more time with your family, but the fact that it allows you to have that doesn't mean you're actually doing that. So maybe you're not spending more time with your family. Maybe you're working even more. Who knows? So allow also has like this possibility meaning carrying within it. So that's a cool thing to be your mind, but you don't really have to worry about it. Like as long as you know let is informal, allow is more formal, you should be okay. Next one, permit and enable. Both of them permissions, and permit is like very formal. If allow was already formal for you, permit's like, oh my god, really formal. Like, I don't know, gala dances, gala balls, things like that. I don't know. So here, for example, they don't permit their students to wear anything but the uniform. So this is very, very formal. You could say they don't allow or they don't let their students. It could be like the same thing. It would have the same meaning. The only difference is how formal you're being. If you say they don't let us, you're probably like talking to a friend of yours. If you say they don't allow, you're probably talking, I don't know, to someone who's older than you, so you have like more formality in your voice. But if you use permit, you're probably like in a committee or things like that. It's like really, really formal. And enable is for permission, but it has like kind of a different meaning because it carries this meaning of making possible, of authorizing someone to do something. So, for example, internet enables you to talk to people far from home. You could say allow, you could say let, you could even say permit, but enable fits better because it has more of a meaning of authorize, like making it possible. So it's like a teeny line between permit, enable, let, allow, but let, allow, permit, as long as you remember the differences in formality, you're okay. And enable, I think you're gonna have to get this when you're gonna use enable or not from reading. So if you wanna like read books in English, that would be like a great idea for you to understand better when you're gonna use enable or not. But overall, you're gonna use when you're talking about making something possible, like to authorize something. So it's basically the allow thing. So the allow, it carries this possibility within it, like even though you're working from home and yes, it allows you to spend more time with your family, doesn't mean you're actually spending your time with your family. And enable is kind of the same thing. Even though the internet enables you to talk to people far from home, it doesn't mean you're actually talking with them. So that's basically it. So yeah, let's take a quick practice. First question, Alex's wife will not him get a motorbike. So here, you should use let. It's more informal, like Alex's wife will not let him to get a motorbike. You're already saying like get. Get's like an informal verb usually. So using get is like kind of gives you a tip that you should talk informally. If you would say like buy a motorbike, that would be more formal. But no, you're using get, so probably that's gonna be the right answer. And the question 2, my boss me collect his dry cleaning. It's not something I signed up for. So if it's not something you signed up for, it's not something you wanted to do, so you're kind of being forced to do that. And when you're being forced, we use made. Made is like the past simple of make. So that's probably the answer here because you're being forced to do that. It's your boss, he's forcing you. You don't have like an option. Question 3, there's no way you are going to me to go to that concert. Going to convince me. So when do we use something related to convince? Get. So those are the answers because well, as you have seen, the first one's more informal, the second one you're being forced to do it, and in the third one, someone's trying to make up your mind, someone's trying to convince you. Last questions. Question 4, the football manager his team visited schools to promote sports. So here, it's kind of let, but you also, it's an obligation, but which one of those obligations would you choose? Like, make, have, get, like make is being forced. I don't think the football coach was forcing anyone, so I don't think that's it. And get's like convincing. I don't think he was convincing. I think he just showed the opportunity, you know. So when you're talking about this question, visit schools to promote sports, you're talking about like a moral responsibility, you know, like you should do that. And when we have this moral responsibility, when we use have. So had would be the right answer because it's the past simple of have. And in the fifth question, question number 5, the police, me riding a patrol car when I was a child. It was a thrill. So it was actually like a good thing because they allowed you to ride in a patrol car when you were a child. It was a thrill. But as you may have noticed, we could use let, we could use allow, or we could use permit. However, it was a thrill. When do you use thrill in informal speeches? It means that it's informal. So you're gonna use let instead of allow and instead of permit, and it's actually like the only option within let, allow, and permit that you could choose. So yeah, those are the answers. The first one is about moral responsibility. No one's forcing you, no one's convincing you, but you should probably do that. It's kind of an obligation for your moral. And the question 5, it's like it's not an obligation, it's a permission. You are permitted to do that, but use thrill at the end, so it's informal. So you should use let. And those are kind of the references, and that was it about permission and obligation. Thank you so much for being here. If you have any questions, you can always reach to us in the comments of this video, or maybe in the WhatsApp groups or the Google Classroom. If you are not in the Google Classroom, nor in the WhatsApp groups, the links are in the description, so just click on them and you're gonna be there. Thank you so much for your attention, and feel free to talk to us and everything. We're gonna work hard as possible to answer your questions, and I think that was it. Thank you. Bye.